my voice, and then it's going to record the screen. So if you need to go back and watch this, it'll be on Canvas. I didn't do that last week, but I'll do that this week. Okay, so we have these triangle relationships. So if this is my angle A, this is my angle B, we like the 90 to be C. And then let's label the triangle if we're looking at angle A. So what sides do we have from last week? And we've done this for 2 weeks, so we're getting pretty good at this. Huh?
Like the names?
Yeah, like the names. Yep, thanks. The hypotenuse. Where is hypotenuse? The longest side. The longest side is always going to be across from the 90 in a right triangle. So this one's called the hypotenuse. Good. Opposite. So we have opposite of A. That's going to be over here. Opposite of A. Okay. What else do we have? Adjacent. The weird one. Yeah. This one's hard for me to remember. The one that's like below A is called the adjacent. And we can abbreviate this. We can call hypotenuse, op, and ADJ, adjacent. Okay, so then we have these relationships. You're welcome. See ya. Between the angle and the side lengths. So we have these are trigonomic functions. So we have the sine of A. Do you remember? So we have this. We have the same. So toa. So sine, good, is the opposite side length over the hypotenuse side length. And then we have the cosine of A. Good, is the adjacent. Good, thank you. Oops, adjacent over hypotenuse. And the last one is the tangent. The tangent of A is the opposite side over the adjacent side. So we're going to sit in these first 3 tables. And you can grab a snack too if you want. There's some snacks. Okay, so we're going to use this again, but instead, last time we just set up the relationship. This time we're going to have a missing side. Okay, so today we're doing missing sides. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hand you the worksheet and we'll do some of these missing side problems together. And we're going to do this this week. We'll turn in this worksheet this week, and then next week we're going to do one more practice of this. So we're going to use the same information that we learned last time to find the missing sides. Okay. So on my paper, I really like to just have the relationships on my paper so that I can keep looking back at them. So I'm going to write them. I'm going to write SOHCAHTOA at the top because that's going to help me generate my relationships. So we're going to sit in these first 3 tables, and there's a snack there if you need a snack. Okay, so we got SOHCAHTOA. That's going to help me set up these relationships. So remember, the sine of the angle is the opposite side over the hypotenuse. And if you have this in your notes and you don't want to write it down, that's okay. I like to have it on my paper. The cosine of the angle is equal to the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. And the tangent is equal to the opposite side over the adjacent side. Okay, so let's just do the first one. We have a 90-degree angle, okay, and we have this angle. So we're going to label the triangle with the angle that we are given. So what would x be? Not hype. So you convinced me it was hype, not hype. Hypotenuse is the longest side. This one would be the hypotenuse. The opposite. So we have this angle. We're going to label it with respect to this angle. So this one is the opposite. Opposite. And then this one is the adjacent. 14 is adjacent. So what we're trying to find is we're trying to find x. Okay, we're going to do some algebra. We're looking for the value of side x, or the opposite side. So we need to find the relationship that relates the number we're given and x to the angle. So we're looking for the relationship that relates the opposite side and the adjacent side. So look at these relationships. Which one relates the opposite, or we're looking for, opposite and adjacent? Tangent, good. So tangent relates the opposite and the adjacent. So we're going to say the tangent of the angle always goes with the function. So tangent of 19 equals the opposite side. Here the opposite side is x. And we're going to divide by the adjacent side, which is 14. I'm just following the setup. So it says the tangent of the angle equals the opposite side over the adjacent side. So now we need to solve for x. So how do we get x by itself? How do we solve for x here? Multiply. We're going to multiply by 14. So we have x divided by 14. We're going to multiply by 14. I'm going to write over my number 12. So if I multiply by 14 on this side, I have to multiply by 14 over here. I'm kind of running out of space. 14 times the tangent of 19. So 14 on the top, 14 on the bottom. This simplifies to 1. So on this side, we just have x. And then I have 14 times the tangent of 19. Okay. I didn't bring a calculator over here, so I'm going to grab a calculator. Is there anyone else who needs a calculator? I can do the function around. So just make sure that it's back in the bin if you borrow mine. If you have your own, you can use your own, that's fine. But you have your own? You have your own right there. Okay, I also need one. So I'm going to pull out a calculator. Oh, we've got glare. Okay, and then I just have to type that in. I'm going to do 14 times the tangent of 19. And then this calculator is telling me right now it's in degrees. I don't know if you can see, but we want our calculators to be in degrees for our class. So I'm going to put a parenthesis. I'm push enter. Okay, and then let's round to 1 decimal place. I think that's good enough. So that tells me x is 4.8. So we just found the length of this side. So we found that x is 4.8. Okay. All right, questions on that? Does that make sense? Let's do another one, but before we do another one, does that make sense? We're good? Okay. Okay, we'll just do the next one. And then if you want to do another one, we can pick another one. But we'll just keep moving through a few of these. So here we have 71. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to label the sides. And we need to label the sides with respect to this angle, based on the angle 71. So we have 2 side lengths. So what should we label these? Like, where is the opposite? Where is the adjacent? Where is the hypotenuse? That's what we're looking for. Hypotenuse is opposite from the 90. So this, I like to look at this. This is kind of like pointing me to the hypotenuse. So 15 is the hypotenuse. Perfect. Okay, what about x? What is x? That's the opposite. Good. And those are really the only two sides that I need, so I could stop labeling there. We could also label this one would be our adjacent, but it's not labeled, so we don't really care about it right now. So now we need a relationship that relates the hypotenuse and the opposite side. So look at our, good, thank you. So we have sine of this angle because that's our opposite. So sine of 71 equals, hello, welcome. Hi.
Hi.
Oops.
Thanks for saying hi. Check in. Looks like we're growing.
Yeah. Yep. And I think this is all of us. We're all here.
Everybody's here today.
Everybody's here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions for me?
About classes, right?
Yeah. Like everybody has Edgenuity they're working on. Perfect.
Okay.
And I have a for you. That's what you wanted?
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. No problem.
Have a good day, you guys.
Okay, so sine, and sine tells us we need the opposite side, which is x. Oh. We also need the hypotenuse, which is 15. So we're going to do the same pattern. If x is on the top, we're going to multiply by 15 on both sides, just like we did before, because we were looking for x. So then 15 on the top, 15 on the bottom. This simplifies to 1. Oh, and then we get x equals this number. So then you just type that in. Okay, you guys are typing in good. I will also type it in. Oh, I'll try not to get too much glare. 15 times sine of 71. Yes. Oh yes, sorry. I'm sorry.
You're good. I just didn't want to interrupt.
I'm sorry. I just didn't even think about that. I apologize. Is anyone else? Did I miss anyone else? Okay. All right. Sorry. That's my bad. Okay. So I went around to 1 decimal place. So the first decimal is 1. The second one is 8. So we should round up to 2 because the 8 is bigger than 5. So if we're going to keep just 1 decimal place, so we should do 14.2. Okay. All right. So questions so far? Doing okay? Let's see. There's some that are trickier. Let me see if I can find one that is trickier. Okay, let's jump down to number 5. I think so that 3 and 4 are like just like what we just did. Let's jump down to number 5. Number 5 is a little bit trickier. So again, we're going to start off the same way. We have this angle called 47. We're going to label the sides using 47 as our angle. So what sides do we have? What should we call them? Hypotenuse is opposite of 90. That one's not labeled, but we can go ahead and label it hypotenuse. Okay, what else do we have? Yeah, good. The adjacent is the same side of x. So x is the adjacent. Okay, and so what does that mean the 10 is? The 10 is the opposite side. Good. Okay, so we have the side on the opposite side labeled, and we have the side on the adjacent side labeled. So let's go back to our relationships. Which relationship relates the opposite side and the adjacent side? Tangent. So we're just going to kind of match. So tangent of our angle. So tangent of our angle is 47 is equal to, tangent says it's the opposite side. The opposite side is 10. So I put 10 on the top. Over the adjacent side is x. So x goes on the bottom. Okay, This is a little bit trickier. It's not too tricky, but it's a little bit trickier when x is on the bottom. There's a few different ways that we can solve this. Does anyone have any ways they like to do this when the variable is on the bottom? It's a little bit trickier. Not too bad. We just have to rearrange a little bit more. There's two ways. Yes, should we do that? So we can pretend like this is upside down, or this is 1 on the bottom, and we just flip it. Does that sound familiar? So we're just going to flip both sides. So I'm going to say flip this side upside down. So the 1's going to go on the top. The tangent of 47 is going to go on the bottom. So 1 over, oops, there we go. 1 over tangent of 47. And if I flip something on the left, I better flip the other thing on the right side. So I'm going to flip this. So the x is going to go on the top. The 10 is going to go on the bottom. So x is on the top now. 10 is on the bottom. And that is nice because we got the x off of the bottom. That's what makes it tricky, is if we have the variable on the bottom. Okay, so now the variable is off the bottom. We can get rid of the 10 and get x by itself. So we're back to, we have x divided by 10, so we're going to do the opposite of divide. We're going to multiply by 10. So multiply by 10 on this side, multiply by 10 on this side, 10 on the top, 10 on the bottom. That simplifies to 1. So on this side we have x. And then we have 10 over the tangent of 47. And I can hear some of you typing that in. Perfect. So then we get x, and then we're going to type it in. 10 divided by tangent 47, parentheses, enter. And then we're going to round, today we're going to round to 1 decimal. That's the 10th. I don't know. This is the 10th at the top. 1 decimal, so 9.3. Okay. The other, yeah, okay, 9.3. That seems reasonable with our angle. Okay, questions on that one? Should we do another one where we have to flip it? Okay, let's find another one. Let me see if I can. This one is over. Okay, 6. 6 will also have to flip, I think. So let's go ahead and do 6. So we have this angle, we have 39. And then what sides do we have? What is x? Good. X is the hypotenuse. So that's always my first step, is I'm going to label the sides. What about 19? What's 19? Good, adjacent. We could also label this other side if we wanted to, but it doesn't have a number related to it. So it's not really very helpful right now. So it's the opposite. So again, we have a number on the adjacent side. We have an x on the hypotenuse. So we need a relationship that relates the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. So look at the relationships, the sine, cosine, tangent. Good. Cos. So up here, cos relates the adjacent and the hypotenuse. So we're going to click on it. We're going to choose cosine. It's not on the computer. Okay. So we got cosine of our angle, which is 39, equals the adjacent. Oh, I just kind of blinked out there for a minute. Adjacent, which is 19, over our hypotenuse. And again, there's a whole bunch of ways to do this. I do like the flip method. So if you have another way to do it, they will give you the same answer as long as you get x on the top by itself. So what are we going to do here to get x by itself? Good. So we'll say this is on the top of a 1. And we're going to flip it. Good. So I'm going to put the 1 on the top, the cosine on the bottom. I'm going to put the 19 on the bottom, the x on the top. So flip the left side, 1 over cosine of 39, and then x over 19. So these kinds, if x is on the bottom, we just have one extra step. And then we want x by itself. so we got to get rid of that 19. So we have x divided by 19, so we're going to do the opposite. We're going to multiply by 19, multiply by 19. So 19 on the top, 19 on the bottom. That simplifies to 1. So we have 1x on this side, and then we have 19 over the cosine of 39 on this side. And then we're going to type this in our calculator. So I'm going to type in 19 divided by cos of 39, parentheses, enter. Okay, and then the 4 is less, so we've got 24.44. So I'm going to look at the second decimal. The second decimal is less than 5. So I'm going to just leave 24.4. We're just going to round to 1 decimal today. So we found the length of side x, or the hypotenuse. And if it's a hypotenuse, we can always check. The hypotenuse should be the longest side. 24 is longer than 19. If it's not the hypotenuse, we should always, our side should be less than the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse should be the longest. So that's one way to check. Okay, how are you guys feeling? Do you feel like you could do this, the rest of it? Do you want to do one more? Do one more?
Let's just keep going.
Yeah. Let's do maybe, should we do 2 more? Okay, there's 20. And we've done 4. 16 more. Pick 2 more. So you guys pick, look through, tell me which ones you want to do together.
You got an answer to today?
I do. I haven't printed it yet, so I will print it in a minute. Do 4. Okay, yes. Let's do 4 together. So, what sides do we have? So we're going to label with respect to this angle. So we have this angle. X is height. Good. Height. And what else do we have? Is 10 the opposite or the adjacent? Adjacent. Good. Good. Okay, so then this one's the opposite, but there's nothing there, so we don't have to label it. We need the relationship that relates the hypotenuse and adjacent. So which one is that? Which one? Good. Cos. I just didn't hear you. Yeah, cos. Cosine of the angle 29 equals. Adjacent goes on the top. Adjacent is 10. Oh, this one we do have to flip. I didn't think we had to flip this one. Okay. Good. So we're gonna have to flip this one. Good, Denny. So if we have, because the x, we have to flip it because x is on the bottom. So I'm going to say this is over 1. I don't like the variable to be on the bottom, so I want it to be on the top. So I'm going to put x on the top, 10 on the bottom. Cosine of 29 on the bottom, 1 on the top. I'm going to keep using my paper. I thought maybe I would have enough space for it. All right, so now we put 1 on the top, cosine of 29 on the bottom. Then we've got x on the top, 10 on the bottom. So what's next? I think that means multiply. Hi.
Hi. So you're looking at a couple additional pens?
My pen tips have all broken up. I dropped them on the tile.
Gotcha. Okay. So
do the regular LCD ones work, or they will? Okay. I mean, they're not that expensive. That's why I asked you before.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe that would help the PowerPoint not get confused about what I want.
Is it still doing what we were?
It is.
Before?
Yeah, but I figured, we figured out what is happening. I just will be writing and it'll switch screens. And so then I have to turn the pen tool back on. And I had to do it 4 times in a problem. And it kept going different slides. I think because it doesn't know if I want to draw or move slides.
Interesting.
And I'm wondering if it's just, I don't have the tip. Yeah. And I tried the Wacom tip, that doesn't work good. Yeah. The end works. I usually just use the end of like the eraser end.
Like you said,
Uh-huh.
okay. Does it work pretty consistently? Or does it
It,
switch?
it always switches in PowerPoint, but it writes really good on the the overlay.
Often? Okay. Let me check with the guys. It's like,
Oh, okay.
some replacement.
Okay. I have $30 in my cost wallet.
Okay, let me see what I can do.
Okay.
Get those, the only thing is we don't know what's on it.
Right, yeah.
Until we get them.
Okay. And there's one that was like $5. So I still thought I would, it's not like if they don't work.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Let me do a little bit of research and see if we can get some.
Okay.
replacements for you.
Okay.
And, put them there, I guess.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks. Okay. So Shay was telling us we need to move this over. So 10 on top, 10 on bottom. We've got 10 over the cosine of 29. Ten divided by cosine of 29. And you guys probably already got here. Did you get this? 11.4? Okay. Okay, good. Good. Okay. Did you find one more that you wanted to do together? 9? Did I hear 9? What did you say? None? 9? I'm not sure what you said. What do you say, Malachi?
I said none.
None. Oh, you're ready?
No.
Oh,
I say we just keep going.
Yeah.
okay, let's do one more. And then I'm going to have you guys, because the point is not, I can do it. I know that I can do it. But we need you guys to be able to do this. And we'll do this week. And then we'll practice again next week with a new worksheet. Is there one that you want to do or just want to do like the next one? Next one? So do you want to do 7 or 3? 7. Okay, they all look the same to you? That's good. There's a pattern. Okay, so we have 49. Go ahead, take 1 minute, label the sides. If you can go ahead of us, move past us. But I'm going to give you, go ahead, label the sides. And then I'll tell you what I think. We're doing 7. Yeah, we're doing number 7. Go ahead and label the sides. We're using angle 49 as our angle. Is your phone telling you the answer, Cash? Okay, practice so that you can do it by yourself.
Yes, I'll be like,
Oh, because you were not here.
yeah.
So the longest side of the body, the one that's across from the angle we're moving is opposite. Oh, the one that's right below it is you. Oh. Okay, I think we've probably labeled the sides. So the one that's across from the angle is the opposite side. So this is X is the opposite. And then 14 is the adjacent. Okay, did you get that? Okay, decide what trig function you're going to use. Okay, you already got it? Okay, good. So we have these two sides have a number. Adjacent has a number. X is opposite. So good. Shay figured out we need the tangent, opposite over adjacent. So go ahead and set up the function if you haven't already. What's the relationship? So we just follow the pattern. So tangent of the angle equals the opposite side over the adjacent side. So write it out. That sine, cosine, tangent that we wrote at the top should help us follow that pattern. Oh, yeah. You're just keeping one decimal. Yes, you're right. Okay, so we decided we needed the tangent. So we have the tangent of our angle. And then the tangent says we need the opposite side, which is x, over the adjacent side. Oops, I just wrote adjacent. We just didn't write adjacent. We should write the number. Oops. So x over 14. Did you get that? Okay, great. And then how do we solve this one? Harley, how do we do the next step? What do we do next? Good. Good. Multiply by 14. We're trying to get x by itself. So multiply by 14. So x is this, 14 times tangent of 49. Okay, and then we want to keep one decimal place. There's a 0 in the second decimal. So we're going to just round to 16.1, just like you got. Good. Okay, I'm going to let you work on this for a minute. I will wander around if you have questions. I will also print out the key, so once you're done or if you're getting stuck, you can look and see if you're making progress, if you're doing it right. And then once you're done, we're going to, so give it back to me. I'll have you check it with the key. And then I will put it on your grade. The rest of the class time after the math assignment, you should be working on Edgenuity. I know some of you worked on English last time. Dr. Cup said that we need to be working on Edgenuity. And so you can finish, you missed because you were sick. So you can finish the math, Malachi. But then after you're done with math, Dr. Cup says that you should be working on Edgenuity to make sure that you are making progress on your credit recovery. Okay, all right, let me turn off the key and I will wander around.